Just to sum it up, because we're going to try to get through quite a bit of this today. We have the Mishnah, which discusses, is Chodesh in effect in Chutz La'aretz? The Gemara concluded that according to our Mishnah, the Tanna Kamma is of the opinion that in Chutz La'aretz you have Oral and Kalayim. Oral and Kalayim are in effect in Chutz La'aretz, not Chodesh. Reb Lezer says even Chodesh. Reb Lezer says Chodesh is in Chutz La'aretz. Then we quoted a Brisa. Reb Shimi Yechoyi says Chodesh is also, and who's the Mishnah? The Mishnah is Rabbi Shmuel, and Reb Lezer argues Rabbi Shmuel. Okay. Then we cited a Brisa that Reb Shimi Yechoyi says that what is in effect of Chutz La'aretz? Chodesh, Orel, and Koloya Kerem. All three. Chodesh is effective because it says Moshe Seichem, your communities. And how do I know Orlo and Koloya Kerem and Orlo? I know it from a Kal V'chomer. So Reb Shimi Yechoyi is of opinion all three are Doraisa. Chodesh is Doraisa, which is the pasuk. And how do we know Koloya Kerem and Orlo? Kal V'chomer. Right? That was the Gemara in Amud Aleph. We'll see later. Tosas has a question. I mean, so how do you argue? Because Reb Shimon Elazar, because Reb Elazar, Reb Shimon argues with his father, right? So what does Reb Shimon Elazar say? He argues on all three. We'll see maybe on all three. He says on top of the page, any mitzvah that we were commanded before we entered into the land, that mitzvah is effective whether you're in Eretz Yisrael or outside of Eretz Yisrael. But the mitzvah which were given after we entered into the land, those mitzvahs are only effective in Eretz Yisrael, except for Hashmotus Ksav Shluch Havodim, right? That the loan, if it's not paid back by the end of the Shemitah, it's canceled, and freeing slaves when Shemitah comes, right? Even though the person may live outside Eretz Yisrael, when they declare Shemitah, Yovel in Eretz Yisrael, the slave is released, right? That's Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon. But he says those are the only two exceptions. What about Chodesh? Chodesh only came into being when we came to Eretz Yisrael. What about Kloya Kerem? What about Orlo also? It had no relevance to the desert. So we see that Reb Shimon, Reb Elazar Reb Shimon is the son of Reb Shimi Yechoyi. He's arguing with his father. Chodesh is not in effect because he interprets Moshe V'seichem to mean what? Upon conquest. Conquest and settling in the land. Reb Shimi Yechoyi explained Moshe V'seichem to mean your communities. So since Reb Shimi Yechoyi has Chodesh as his base, so he's able to draw from that Kal V'chomer, Koloya Kerem, and Orlo. Right? That's Reb Shimi Yechoyi. But if Reb Elazar Reb Shimon, Reb Elazar, the son of Reb Shimon, he argues with his father regarding the interpretation of the word Moshe V'seichem, it means when you conquest and settling, Chodesh has no relevance to Chutz La'aretz, correct? So once you don't have the base to draw from Chodesh, so Kloya Kerem, normally you don't have the Kal V'chomer any longer, okay? This is where we're at. But you only have the Kal V'chomer if you have to start with the premise that Chodesh is Doraisa. If Chodesh is Doraisa, we talk Kal V'chomer. Right? Chodesh, which will become permitted. Right? What it said. Yesh hetel isuro. And even when it's forbidden, it's only not permitted only to eat. But you're permitted to benefit from it. And yet the Torah says it's effective, it's in effect outside of Eretz Yisrael, Chutz La'aretz. So Orla and Kloya Kerem, which are much more stringent, and it will not become permitted, so on and so forth. Definitely it should be in effect in Chutz La'aretz. He's not arguing with the Torah. He's arguing about how to interpret the Torah. Because he interprets Moshe V'seichem to mean conquest, when you conquer and settle in the land. It's the same machlokas in the Mishnah between Tanna Kamma and Reb Elazar and Reb Lezer. What do you mean it's according to the Torah? Torah says it's only in Eretz Yisrael Chodesh. According to Tanna Kamma of our Mishnah. Is Chodesh applicable in Chutz La'aretz? No. Why? Because Moshe V'seichem means conquest. Reb Lezer, the son of Reb Shimi Yechoyi, concurs with the Tanna Kamma of our Mishnah. Very simple. Okay? So speaking about Shluch Havodim, that's where we left off. Shluch Avodim. So Rabbi Lozer, the son of Reb Shimi Yochai, says Shluch Avodim, although it came into being only after we came to Eretz Yisrael, because when is that? That's Yovel. Yovel only follows after 7 cycles of Shemitah. Nevertheless, Shluch Avodim is in effect even Chutz La'aretz. Shluch Avodim, Chovas HaGufi, someone says, what's in consideration not? It's unrelated to Eretz Yisrael. You declare freedom in the land. So what is the meaning of the word Boretz? Boretz Ein, Chutz La'aretz Lo. The effect of that declaration affects only where? Only in the land, not outside the land. Talmud Lomar, Yovel Hi. The word Yovel Hi is what? The superfluous? No, the Yovel is in effect, universally in effect. So what relevance does it have to Chutz La'aretz? The answer is in terms of slaves. Land has no relevance because in Chutz La'aretz, land doesn't go back. Right? You purchase something in Chutz La'aretz. It's only the original portion which they receive when they divide up the land. In Cain, Ma Talmud Lomar Boretz. So what is it? What's the meaning of Boretz? In the land, you should declare freedom in the land. In time of the Beis Hamikdash, when they had Yovel, when they declared Yovel, then the effect is even Chutz La'aretz. Ein Jorah Noig Boretz, but if they don't make that declaration in Eretz Yisrael, there is no Ein Noig Chutz La'aretz. So it doesn't have the effect of Chutz La'aretz. You don't say, because if it would be the 50th year, whether they declare it or not, it's irrelevant? No. It's only when they declare it in Eretz Yisrael, then you have the effect of Chutz La'aretz. But if they don't make that declaration, then it's not. Okay? It's Eved Ivri. First name is Eved Ivri. That's Eved Kanani. Eved Kanani is a chattel, right? A Canaanite slave. It's your asset. A Jew is not your asset, right? So, person sells himself for 6 years, then 3 years before Yovel, what happens when Yovel comes? He's freed. He doesn't have to, or a girl is sold also. She's released. Jewish slaves. Tanan Hossam will be the same thing if you have a Canaanite slave in Chutz La'aretz also, right? No. He would go back to the original owner. But that's because it's like you have land outside of Eretz Yisrael. No. What? No. Shluch Avad means the release of slaves. You're releasing the slaves back to being free men. Evet Kanani is never freed. Transferring from master to master. Reuven owes a slave, and he sells it. What happens? It goes back to him. He's arguing with his father. What do you mean, how does he argue with his father? Well, it's not respectful. He has a different Masorah. It wasn't his Rebbe fully. He has another Masorah. Just because that's your father's Masorah doesn't mean so you have to accept it. $13 years. We don't know what happened to him. After he came out, maybe he learned from others. He learned he had other sources. It's clear. He's arguing with his father. Not a problem. I mean, he's arguing with his father's Lakula, not Lachumra. He's more lenient. He's taking on a more lenient position. Right. I mean, everything. His father is Doraisa, ABC, Chodosh, Kilayim, and Orla. He says no. All of them are all rabbinical. What difference does it make? Can he do this? First of all, we're not talking about what you accept upon yourself. Here we're talking about interpretation of the Torah. We're talking about Masorah over here. Yeah. Meaning he rejected his father's Masorah. That's what he took on. He took on others' Masorah. Look, the Tanakh and the Mishnah disagrees with his father also. Rabbi Shmuel. Right? Who? No. It doesn't make difference with Rabbi Shmuel's father. But Rabbi Shmuel argues, and the Tanakh is its anonymous Mishnah. Right? Kal Chomer, it's not, no, the method, the methodology is Masorah. But the application is up to each person. But no, again, I always mention it. This is a very fundamental Ramchal. The Ramchal explains throughout Shas, whenever you learn the Gemara, the Mishnah says, Isha nikas keser shtar v'chazo b'biyah. Right? Keser shtar b'biyah. That's a fact. The Gemara says, keser menonon. Meaning, we have a Masorah. A woman can be married one of three ways. That's the Masorah. Now we have an obligation to try to identify what's its source in the Torah. We have Torah Shabbat Peh. Masorah is Torah Shabbat Peh. Okay? Now, let's see if an argument by Bisham B'Silel. Each one applies the methodologies. So what is their argument? What exactly is the Masorah? Is it Masorah A or is it Masorah B? So when Beis Shammai goes and proves his point, he cites Psukim, and he says, Beis Hillel, what do you do with these Psukim? This proves my Masorah is accurate. This puts your Masorah into question. So Beis Hillel has to respond. He says, well, we interpret it differently. And if they go back and forth and one of them can't respond to the text, that automatically is a refutation on the Masorah. That indicates the Masorah is not an accurate Masorah. And every argument in the Gemara, that's the argument. We have an argument, even in regard to methodology, we speak about Kal V'chomer. Right? Kal V'chomer. We talk about Klal, Pral, Klal, Ribui, Mid, Ribui. Exactly how to interpret the Torah. Because the application of Klal, Pral, Klal is a different application of Ribui, Mid, Ribui. But that itself is a machlokas in the Masorah. What was given at Sinai to interpret the Torah Shebechsav, is it Klal, Pral, Klal? Or is it Ribui, Mid, Ribui? It's a different application. And the end result is a different result. Okay. So that's why I always say, women, they always say, the reason why the Gemara or the Chazal, they reject women, that they're not qualified to be part of a minyan, is because, they were men. Male chauvinist, all this, you understand? That comment, is heresy. It's apikoursis. It's a heretical statement. Why is a woman not qualified to be part of a minyan? It's the Masorah. It's from Sinai. How do I know that? How do I know this? Because it says Eido. Eido. Now we interpret. It's not the Chachamim, based on their biases, they interpret the Psukim this way. We're starting from Masorah. That's where it starts. The interpretation of Psukim is only to show where the Masorah is what is rooted in the text. It's not based on their interpretation. Targ Mitzvahs is Masorah. And now we try to locate in the text how to identify the Masorah with the text. And it's the same thing across the board. So anybody who questions certain things, which is not disputed, and he attributes it because of whatever it may be to a certain era, whatever it may be, that's why they saw it that way, it's apikursus. That means they're denying the Masorah. Do you have something to say? Of course, that to do with the Roman persecution, because initially things weren't recorded. So if they're not recorded, and people start forgetting, then you have a problem. Okay. Teran Hosam. We learned in Mishnah Orlo. HaChodosh Osam in Torah. So this Mishnah, HaChodosh Osam in Torah, is not going according to our Mishnah, right? According to Tanakama. It's a different Mishnah, but good. So the anonymous Mishnah, our anonymous Mishnah, that it says only Kalayim and Orla are forbidden in Chutz Loretz, which Chodesh is permitted, is contradictory. It's not contradictory. It's arguing with this Mishnah, because it says a Chodesh also in Torah, b'chol mokom, regardless where you are, where the grain grows. Orla halocha. The first three yields of a tree, it's halocha. Hakilayim b'divrei sofrim. In Chutz Loretz, if you plant grain near a vineyard, that you're not permitted to benefit from it, and all its laws, that's purely rabbinical. Divrei Sofrim. Once mentioned, the Mishnah says at the beginning of kiddushin, Kesef Shtar Chazoka, Ishad Niknis. Shtar and Bia. So there's a Rashi in Ksubis. Rashi says, he brings from Rabbosov, from his Rabbeim, that they said that Kinyi Kesef is Divrei Sofrim. Howard, you have Gemara Ksubis. He's Divrei Sofrim. So Rashi says, how could he say Divrei Sofrim? He shows throughout Shas, if a woman's married with money and she commits adultery, she's liable for the death penalty. It's only if it's only a rabbinical marriage, you don't put a woman to death. Similar to having the bouquets in the sukkah. Okay. Thank you. Second. Okay, so Rashi says he brings from his Rabbeim that Keskin Kes is Divrei Sofrim. So Rashi rejects it. He says, how's it possible? So when they answer, we find the Rambam in his text, in his terminology, sometimes he uses the term Midrabanan. Sometimes he uses the term Divrei Sofrim. So the Kes Mishnah says that the Rambam very often, something that's derived from Yudgul Midrash HaTorah and Dreshes by him, the 13 methodologies of interpretation of the Torah. That term is Divrei Sofrim. It doesn't mean Drabanan. That would be a Doraisa. So they explain when Rashi's Rabbeim say that Kesef is Divrei Sofrim, they don't mean it's Drabanan. The Gemara says, how do we know Kinyi Kesef? Because from Kichu Kich Misteyafron is Gzera Shova. So it's one of the methodologies. It's the application of the methodology. So who made that application? That's Divrei Sofrim. It's the Chachomim. So Rashi understood Divrei Sofrim, according to his understanding, means Rabbanon. Because we see in a moment here, Divrei Sofrim, everybody agrees Divrei Sofrim is rabbinical. The Gemara is going to say, well, the Gemara says that our law is halacha kilaim Divrei Sofrim. Definitely here it means rabbinical. It's rabbinical. But the question is, in their terminology, in their vernacular, when they use Divrei Sofrim or Rambam, does Rambam mean the Rabbanon, or does Rambam mean something which is derived as a result of Yud Gimel Midrash HaTorah and Dreshes Ben?
But even that, I think Rashi thinks it's Rabbanon, right? I mean,
No, that's why he's rejecting it. Since he is in his vernacular, Divrei Sofrim means rabbinical, therefore he can't accept. How's it possible? It's a Gzera Shava. It's a Doraisa. But they, in their vernacular, Divrei Sofrim meant something that's derived from the Gzera Shava, Doraisa.
But even just in how that we call it, they always say everything is derived from like the Masorah that we got, and we have to.
Right. I understand that. So, but certain things. But you tell me, how's it? We say certain things halacha l'Moshe Sinai. What does that mean? We're identifying that it's not related to the text. It's not textual. Other things, it's not halacha l'Moshe Sinai. I bet the fact everything's halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Everything. So how do we differentiate? The question is it could it be interpreted in the text, or it's unrelated to the text? Right? How do you know tefillin are black? That tefillin is supposed to be black. There's no allusion to any degree in the text that they have to be black, or they should be square, or that you should have a shin on either side of it, or that you have to have the knot has to be formed to form shakai, right? There's no allusion whatsoever to this. How do we know this? Halachah Mishum Sinai, the Gemara says in Shabbos. All this is Halachah Mishum Sinai. That's all Halachah Mishum. We don't even know what tefillin are. Shartu will say, we know you have to have parshas, they have to be made of leather and so on and so on. But the shape and the straps and all this, we have no idea. That's all Halachah Mishum Sinai. Everything's Masorah. That's Masorah. It was said at Sinai and it's passed down. Doraisa. Halachah is Doraisa. Doraisa. When it says over here, which we'll discuss in a moment, or la halacha, there's going to be an argument now. Does halacha mean something they accepted upon themselves, or does halacha mean halacha Mishmi Sinai? We'll see this in a moment. The Mishnah says or la halacha. No. Doraisa. Of the 13 methodologies. Right, correct. It clearly, we'll see in a moment, it's Drabanan. He's not going against. It's again, it's the choice of classification, the way he uses it. It's clear. Yeah, it's purely his, that's his vernacular. That's why I cited Rashi and his Rabbeim. He misunderstood what they said, therefore he rejected what they said. It's impossible. He said, M'chilas kvodam, he's asking forgiveness from that. There's no way he could accept this. But again, because he understood divrei sof means, as the Gemara means, divrei sof means rabbinical. That's Rashi. Rashi understands divrei sof as the Gemara usually understands divrei sof. It means rabbinical, a rabbinical law. No. This is what the Maggid Mishnah explains the Rambam. That's one of the commentators. Not in the Rambam. Because the Rambam is consistent in his vernacular, what's rabbinical and what's not rabbinical. Okay, we'll see over here, it's interesting. My halacha, when it says orles halacha, what is the meaning of halacha? Amr Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Hilsa Midino. The halacha is rooted, so Rashi says, very important Rashi here. Hilsa Midino. It's rabbinical, but we'll see in a moment. So the question is, why does he use a different terminology? Where is it? One second. Hilsa Bidino, Hinigua Hemaleim B'chutz Loretz. They instituted a minig. No, it's not. No. The Chazal instituted it should be a minig in Chutz Loretz. Okay? Ula Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Ula says that's Reviewed name of Shmuel. Ula says name of Rabbi Yochanan. Halacha Moshe Sinai. When it says or la halacha, it means halacha Moshe Sinai. It was ordained at Sinai that it's forbidden on a Torah level. Not a, does that mean the same as the second of Yom Tov, for example? No, there it's a rabbinic enactment. And the reason is because minig avosenu b'yadeinu. Because initially they had to keep 2 days because it was a sveika diyoma on the Torah level. Therefore, we institute what they did then. But even though when they did what they did was because it was a safi d'oraisa. So like we call that a minog. No, we don't call that a minog. It's not called a minog. Not a minog. Not a minog. No, it's minog. We're referring to it as minog. We have to conduct ourselves as avosenu. Conduct. But why did they conduct themselves as they conduct themselves? Not because it was a minog. Minog avosenu. We conduct ourselves as they conducted themselves. But when we conduct ourselves, it was legislated that we have to conduct ourselves that way. How? As they conducted themselves. We only use the term minog, we have to, in terms of conducting ourselves. Not eating rice on Pesach for an Ashkenazi, that's a minog. That was never legislated. It's something people assume themselves. This is, it's not quite, it's a little more than that. Because we can see in a moment. According to Shmuel, that it's rabbinical. And because the Gemara is saying in that moment, Kalayim is Divrei Sofrim. So, if they're both rabbinical, why in one regard I use the term halacha, which means minog, and when it comes to Kalayim, the Mishnah uses the term Divrei Sofrim. Now, what's the halacha? If a person violates a lav and is forewarned, what's he liable for? Malchus. What happens if a person violates a rabbinic law? What's he liable for? It's called makas mardus. It's rabbinical lashes. What's the difference between rabbinic lashes, Rashi says, in Makos, and Torah lashes? Torah lashes are with a whip, leather whip. Rabbinic lashes is done with a cane. The person's caned with a makil, with a rod. He's hit with a rod. Also, 39, or they evaluate him. So that's if you violate rabbinic law. What about hinhigu? What about this kind of sitting? Divrei sovrim, that's makas mardus. But if it's halacha, which is hinhigu aleim, it has a less stringency than a regular rabbinic law. So therefore, if a person should violate this, he would not be subject to makas mardus. He would not get the rod. That's the reason why that's the reason why it uses a different terminology. They're both rabbinical, but doesn't have the same force of rabbinic law. Therefore, the liability is less. 1 second, okay? Now, the halacha is, the Gemara says that if a person violates a rabbinic law, you're permitted to refer to him as, call him a Russia. He's a Russia. What about if he violates a law which is not quite divrei sofrim? It's to a lesser degree, although it's rabbinical. You're not permitted to call him Russia. It doesn't have that same force of rabbinic law. Therefore, you don't classify a person as a Russia. That's why the Mishnah uses a different term. According to Shmuel, although they're both rabbinical, it's a different force of rabbinic law. Okay? This is the Rishonim explained this.
Does it have two applications, or depending how you learn?
No, I mean, if you learn halacha is doraisa, we're going to Shmuel. According to Rav Yehuda, the name of Shmuel, that Hilsa means Medina, that it's purely rabbinical. So if it's rabbinical, it's used the same terminology. No.
We still get margins.
No. Will not get. That's how we're differentiating. Kilayim, which is divrei sofrim. Divrei sofrim means bona fide rabbinic law. Then he'll get makas mardus. You call him Russia. This is hinhigu. They're only conducting themselves to a minog, so therefore he doesn't mardus, and you're not permitted to call him. You know, we had Tosas in Brochos. You know, there's a famous argument, and there's a difference between Ashkenazim and Sfardim. On Rosh Chodesh, you say a bracha and Hallel, right? Ashkenazim, we say a bracha and Hallel. Sfardim don't. Why? So the Gemara says because it's right. Tosas, Rabbeinu, the two positions. Whether you say what's this? Because the Gemara says in Sukkah, the Arava, when you take the Arava on Shmini Atzeres, right, the base of Mikdash was Doraisa. Right? They would encircle the Mizbeach every day. On the seventh day, they would encircle it 7 times on Hoshana Rabbah. So today that we have the Arava. It's called Chibut Arava. We hit the Arava 5 times on the ground. Right? There's a question. Is that a Minog Nevi'im? Is it Minog? Or it's more than Minog? Someone says, what's the halachic difference if it's Minog or not Minog? Whether you say bracha on it. If it's Minog Nevi'im, it's a Minog which was inspired Nevi'im, one doesn't say a bracha on the Arava. But if you say it's more than that, although if it's Takonis Nevi'im, it was enacted by the Nevi'im, then you would say a bracha. So Rabbeinu Tam asks, so you see clearly that if something, everybody agrees that Hallel Rosh Chodesh, saying Hallel Rosh Chodesh is a Minog. So Tosas asks, so if that's the case, the Gemara says explicitly in Sukkah, if it's only a Minog, it doesn't have the force of a regular rabbinic law, although you must abide by it. So if that's the case, so why in regard to Arava we don't say a bracha on the Arava, and Hallel we do say the bracha? So Tosas answers, Rabbeinu Tam says, because it's tiltul ba'alma. The Arava it's not you do anything significant. You're just taking the Arava. It's insignificant. And because of the act is like an insignificant act, it's tiltul ba'alma, that's not enough reason to say a bracha. But Hallel, which is something more substantial, although it's minog, you do say a bracha. So again, but the other shitas are rishonim, and that's what his Sfardim don't say. But minog, one doesn't say a bracha minog. There's no such thing as more or less, more substantial, less substantial. I'm just saying. But that's how Rabbeinu Tam makes a differentiation.
And that Hallel is just when we say Hallel, only on Hanukkah when it's
No, it says you say it so many times a year, and Rosh Chodesh is only a minhag. It says it's a Mishnah. Okay, maybe tomorrow, next time we'll learn. There's a brisker Rav on this. There's a beautiful brisker Rav on this. No, I'm just making differentiations. Here we're talking about Hinhigu. One is not subject to Makas Mardus. Divrei Sofer from RCC, it has a different force. They're both, you're bound to observe it rabbinically, but because of the way it was legislated, the way it came about, it has a different force of what? Of observance. No, they're both rabbinical. Both rabbinical. But over there, everybody agrees. If they legislate a rabbinical, you definitely say Chanukah. You say a bracha on the Chanukah. On Purim, you say a bracha. No, but it's rabbinical. They're both rabbinical. So why do we differentiate? It's all rabbinical. The different forces are rabbinical. Different levels of rabbinical. Here, it's not the community accept. It's Hinhigu. Chazal instituted that they should accept it upon themselves. Something else. That's something else. So that's what I'm explaining. No. Again, it's minhag avosei b'yodeinu. We have to. When they kept it, it was a sveika dioma. Minhag avosei b'yodeinu. We have to conduct ourselves as avoseinu. That's not. It's a minhag. It was legislated.
That's a legislation as well.
That's a legislation. You have to keep the second day because they kept the second day. Meaning we can. It's not a minhag. Right. See the brisker Rav, the way you have to see the brisker Rav inside, the way he explains, he cites the Rambam that, because he asked the question, what about the second day Yom Tiv? Right? We say a bracha on the second day Yom Tiv. So he explains it this way: if something, the source of the action is purely minhag. See, on the second day Yom Tov, although it says minhag avosei b'yodeinu, it may be minhag, and was legislated. It was legislated as a minhag. But what are we doing on the second day? Something they did on the first day. What did they do on the first day? They conduct themselves within the context of halacha, of what? Because they were bound to. No. Chibur arava. We're talking about the arava. We're talking about arava specifically. What is arava? Its basis has no relevance to us ourselves. It's Zeichel Migdosh. Because in the base of Migdosh, they took the Arava. Therefore, today we have no base of Migdosh. So we have a Minog, we take the Arava. So that's the word. Did they legislate it? Or was it just purely a Minog? So what's the basis for taking the Arava? Minog. Minog, one doesn't say a bracha on a Minog. Hallel, the concept of Hallel, we have Hallel. We have Hallel throughout the year. So once there's a bracha on Hallel, this is the way he explains Rabbeinu. This is the way the brisker Rav explains it. The saying a bracha on Hallel, that is rooted in halachi. When you say Hallel, you say a bracha. Why do we say it? Because it's minhag. But arava, there's no basis to take arava. We don't find it anywhere else. It's purely, it's limited to arava. So if it's based on minhag, one doesn't say a bracha on minhag. That's how we differentiate. That's how he explains the Rambam. And that's the way he explains Rabbeinu Tam. Okay? You have to look at the source, right? The second day may be minhag, and the legislated is minhag. That's who is legislated. What? Orla, according to Shmuel, is rabbinical. So if you eat, no, there has to do with a bracha. No, here we're talking about would you get malchus? Would you get malchus marus? Because it's not divrei sofrim, one doesn't get malchus marus. That's how we're differentiating how it was legislated. What time is it? I think we have a... Okay.